I never thought a casual family visit would end with flashing red lights, a court date, and a $5 million lawsuit. But that's exactly what happened when my stepsister, who hadn't set foot on the ranch in over a decade, called 911 and told them I was illegally damming a state lake. The truth? She didn't know I'd inherited the water rights, and now she's the one about to lose everything. It all started one quiet Tuesday morning. I was up at dawn, walking the edge of my family's old ranch lake with a mug of black coffee in hand. It was the kind of place where the fog still hung over the water at sunrise, and you could hear the wings of a heron slicing the air from 50 feet away. The ranch had been in our family for nearly 70 years, passed down from my grandfather to my dad, and now to me. But ever since Dad died, things had changed, especially with my stepfamily. My stepsister Jenna always had a chip on her shoulder. When our parents married, we were teenagers. She didn't like being forced into a blended family, and over the years, we drifted apart. After Dad passed, I stayed to take care of the ranch while she moved out of state, only returning once to argue during the will reading. She wasn't happy that Dad had left me the entire ranch and its associated water rights, including a man-made lake that bordered a piece of land Jenna assumed would be shared family property. It wasn't. Everything was legally transferred to me. But legal facts didn't stop Jenna from trying to claim it. Last month, without any notice, Jenna came back into town. She didn't call. She didn't text. She just showed up at the south gate with her boyfriend in a rented SUV, a stack of what looked like laminated papers, and a drone. I was finishing up a project on the west shore, reinforcing the culvert that managed runoff into the neighboring creek, when my ranch hand, Carlos, radioed me and said, "Hey, boss. There's a lady at the gate saying she's family. She's yelling something about water theft." I almost laughed, but when I arrived and saw her pacing, filming everything with her phone while her boyfriend launched the drone into the air, I knew she was serious and not just angry. She was planning something. Jenna screamed at me through the gate, accusing me of sabotaging shared water, and claimed I'd been stealing from the local watershed for years. I told her flat out, everything on this land, including the lake and its inflow, had been deeded to me in my father's will, and that included the rights to build, repair, or alter any part of the water system. But she didn't listen. Instead, she doubled down. That same evening, 3 sheriff cruisers rolled up my driveway, lights spinning, and an officer knocked on my door asking if I was diverting natural water sources. I handed them my folder of water rights, licenses, and permits, all of which were up to date and signed off by the State Department of Water Resources. The deputy squinted at them, made a quick call, and within 5 minutes, turned back to me with a raised brow and said, "Sir, you're in the clear." I asked if Jenna had made the call. He nodded. Then, he added something else. "She mentioned you threatened her, that you were damming a public lake." I was stunned. There was no public lake. It was private, man-made, dug by my grandfather and filled via a diverted stream that we'd legally tapped into after decades of negotiation and environmental studies. My family had done it all by the book. Jenna didn't care. She thought she could scream environmental abuse and get the state to seize the land. But she messed up big time, and I was about to prove it. The next day, I filed a formal defamation complaint and met with my attorney, Mr. Prather, who's been handling family land disputes for 25 years. He took one look at the drone footage Jenna had posted on social media and shook his head. She'd narrated the whole thing like a documentary, claiming I'd built illegal levees, trapped endangered frogs, and dammed a water source during a drought. All of it was false. But the best part? In her videos, she flew that drone directly over my house, barns, and lake, zooming in on faces and even snapping shots of the permit board outside the pump shed, the one that clearly displayed my name, the permit number, and the state approval date. She never blurred it. She posted it all online. That's illegal surveillance. And that's also my evidence. Mr. Prather advised we file for a cease and desist and a lawsuit claiming $5 million in damages for defamation, invasion of privacy, and interference with lawful land use. The drone footage alone gave us a solid foundation, but it was Jenna's 911 call that would become the nail in her legal coffin. You see, when she called emergency services, she didn't just report a concern. She claimed I had constructed an illegal dam that endangered local homes downstream, and said there was imminent flood danger. Those exact words were recorded in the dispatch logs. That triggered a temporary water inspection, which required shutting off the pump station for 3 days. During those 3 days, our livestock suffered. One irrigation line dried up, and I had to truck in water for the horses. It cost us thousands, and I documented every receipt. Jenna thought calling 911 would scare me into letting her reclaim her part of the land. She didn't know she'd just opened herself up to a multi-million-dollar civil suit, and maybe even criminal charges for false reporting. But I wasn't finished. I had more evidence, and a plan to make sure she could never touch a single inch of this land again. I didn't waste a second. The moment my lawyer filed the lawsuit, I began building a case that would leave no room for Jenna to slip out. Every detail mattered. Every minute of her footage, every social post she'd uploaded, every word she said to the dispatcher. It was all archived, time-stamped, and printed out in color. I wanted the judge to see it exactly the way the public did, a reckless attempt to destroy my reputation and hijack land that never belonged to her. But then something unexpected happened. 3 days after being served the lawsuit, Jenna showed up again, not at the gate, but in town. She walked into the local diner like she owned the place, sat at the counter, and started loudly telling anyone who would listen that I was screwing the town with my water scam. Word travels fast in a small town, and by noon, I had 6 different people texting me about it. One even recorded it on their phone. Another piece of evidence. When I watched the clip that night, I saw the exact moment Jenna crossed a legal line. She accused me of embezzling environmental funds. That statement, made in public to multiple witnesses, gave us grounds to expand the lawsuit to include slander and malicious intent. My attorney's eyes practically lit up when he saw the footage. He said, "She just buried herself deeper. You're going to own her house when this is done." But this wasn't about revenge for me. It was about principle. My father built this ranch from the dirt up. He spent his whole life negotiating legal water access, fencing out poachers, and keeping this land protected. Jenna never lifted a finger. Not once. And now she was treating it like some inheritance gone wrong, like I stole something she was entitled to. She couldn't stand that Dad gave it all to me, and she wanted to tear it down out of spite. The next week, I received a letter from the Department of Water Resources, not a citation, but an apology. The emergency inspection triggered by Jenna's false report had found 0 violations. In fact, the report praised the ranch's conservation practices, noting we'd exceeded several state benchmarks for water usage efficiency and wildlife protection. That alone would devastate her entire environmental abuse claim. But the real twist came 2 days later. My lawyer got a call from a tech contact at a social media moderation company. Turns out, Jenna had been mass reporting my posts online, photos of the lake, the ranch, even family throwbacks, and claiming they depicted illegal activity. She filed over 30 takedown requests across multiple platforms, all under fake names. The company traced them back to her IP address. That wasn't just petty. That was cyber harassment. And now we had grounds for an even broader suit. My lawyer added a digital defamation and cyber interference claim. Jenna had crossed into federal territory now, and it was only getting worse. The final nail came during discovery. As part of the lawsuit process, we requested Jenna's own video files. Not just what she posted, but the raw footage. She refused at first. Then the court compelled her to hand it over. When we got it, I sat down with my attorney and hit play. What we saw was beyond reckless. In one video, Jenna and her boyfriend can be seen on the edge of my property, not just flying a drone, but physically climbing over a fence at night, placing motion sensors, and trying to collect water samples from the lake. That was felony trespassing. And guess what? She filmed it all herself, narrating how they were investigating illegal water control. Her voice, her face, her fingerprints on my fence. On camera, my attorney sat back in his chair and just said, "She's done. This isn't just a lawsuit anymore. This is criminal." That same evening, I handed the footage to the county sheriff. They opened an investigation into felony trespass and false emergency reporting. Jenna had no idea the storm that was coming. I've been quiet for most of my life. I work hard, mind my business, and don't get involved in drama. But this time, I had to act. Not just to protect myself, but to protect everything my father built. Jenna thought she could weaponize 911, the internet, and public sympathy to snatch land that never belonged to her. Instead, she triggered a chain of events that exposed her lies, her crimes, and her desperation. Her lawyer tried to settle twice. He offered a public apology and a retraction of all her claims. I declined. I told him, I didn't ask for this fight, but I'm going to finish it. And I did. 3 weeks later, the court ruled in my favor. Jenna was ordered to pay $5 million in damages, relinquish all rights to contest the property inheritance again, and remove every single post she made related to my ranch within 72 hours. She also had to make a public statement admitting she fabricated the accusations. She looked straight into a camera, trembling, and read the words a judge had written for her. I falsely accused my stepbrother of environmental crimes. I trespassed, lied, and caused harm. I regret my actions, and I am fully responsible for the consequences. It didn't bring me joy. It brought me peace. Jenna moved out of state again. Quietly this time. Her boyfriend dumped her. Her accounts went dark. And the lake? It's still here. Still sparkling in the morning fog. Still feeding the horses. Still reflecting the sky. Still safe. The way it always was. So the next time someone tries to weaponize the law, twist the truth, or drag your name through the mud, remember this story. Because sometimes, karma shows up not with thunder, but with paperwork, a court date, and a $5 million lesson. Subscribe to exclusive HOA stories for more wild tales where truth always wins, and the guilty pay every penny.